Are you an intense person, or do you get irritated when you're around people who are really intense because it seems like they're angry? I'm a very, very, very intense person, and many times in my life, in different cultures, I have been asked to tone it down. Because even if I'm just excited about something, I'm positive, the energy is positive, I feel completely positive, but other people are intimidated by the level of intensity that I can speak with, that I can act with, that I live with. So it's got me thinking lately about authenticity. I made some posts about that. But one of the things that society does is it attempts to beat that authentic joy or emotion out of you at a very young age. Kids are taught not to scream, not to yell, not to run around crazy, not to be super intense and excited and excitable. You have to fit in with nice, polite society, right? But the winners in life, especially if you look at things like sports or business or politics, they're the people who are super, super intense. And you look at the personalities that we love. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, even the really, really nice guy, Steph Curry. When he's playing, he's incredibly intense. And one of the knocks on LeBron James, despite his statistical prowess and genius over one of the longest, most decorated careers in history, is he's lost more championships than he's won. And he always tries to excuse any not taking the last shot by saying, well, I made the right basketball play. The knock on him is that he's been too nice. He hasn't been intense enough, like those other guys that I mentioned. You look at someone like Mike Tyson, he wanted to kill his opponent every time he got in the ring. And then you look at personalities going back 20, 30 years, radio personalities, Michael Savage politically. Then you have people today like Andrew Tate, people like Nick Fuentes, right? They're popular because they're so intense. And not everyone can handle that, but also not everyone can be that. A lot of people, when they get mad, they simply overreact, or if they get emotional, even if they're really excited, they cannot articulate ideas clearly. But for some people, they get more focused, they get more in a flow state, and they're able to better articulate things and to speak more clearly and on point and communicate directly, the more fired up that they are. And so when we neuter those people, when we tell them you have to fit into polite society, you cannot raise your voice at all, even if you're super happy, even if you're excited about something, you're passionate about something. And I talk about this a lot also. Greatness requires obsession, and obsession comes out in passion. So if someone is playing a game, a sport passionately, it's going to show in their play and in their level of emotion and intensity while they're playing that sport. If someone is an artist, a rock star, even a lot of actors, like the super intense emotions that they're able to show on screen or on stage are things that people relate to. People connect with those things. And it's important that they're able to tap into that, and that's what makes them on that level. How many people make it to a level of just iconic status in whatever aspect of life while just being milquetoast? Boring, run-of-the-mill, always sort of monotone. They always fit in. They never make a ruckus. I can't even talk when I'm being like that because it's so not me. So that makes my point, I guess, because when I get super fired up about a topic, and I don't often record when I'm in that state, I'm often talking to someone else because someone else is getting me fired up about something, whether it's in English or Spanish. Like I can go and talk and really stay on point. And I've made it a key aspect of my life, if I'm arguing with someone, to stick to the point, to stick to the facts, to stick to the argument, the topic at hand, and not delve into ad hominem and those sort of things. That's what happens when you get overly emotional and you're not able to use your brain and your intellect to argue a point or to debate or to even share what it is that you're excited about, and you just start like blabbing emotionally. But when I get really excited about something, then I can focus better on it because it's genuine. So I'm one of those people who is super, super intense, but that's when the authenticity really comes out. And in my opinion, and I would say looking back over my life as objectively as possible, in looking at successes and impact, it's being super authentic, which means being very excited, and my emotions show, and people know if I'm excited or mad or whatever, but I can stick to the point and I can communicate my thoughts very specifically on the topic. The problem is, cancel culture has called that toxic masculinity, right? And so being a person like that, and I lived this, I won't say the country or what the event was or anything, but I lived this for a period of months at one point. It was the first time that I had ever come across this, where it was like, it's not that people think that you're mad, but you're just too intense. So you have to tone it down. And so I did that to my chagrin, because it almost destroyed me by the end of that period of time, because it was like I just had to be even keel all the time. And you know what? There are aspects of society that glorify being even keel all the time, but there's just, some of us are not that way, and it's stupid, and it's hindering yourself to try and be that way. And it's taken me a long time to get to this point of just being like, I'm not going to apologize for who I am. You think that I'm super intense because I'm talking about AI and I'm talking about the future of this dystopian tyranny that I don't want, and I am intense and I am mad, but I'm not feeling the emotions of anger. It's frustration, or it's other emotions that come out in that, but it's simply intensity in I want to fight against it, or it's something I'm really, really excited about, and so I want to share, and I'm super intense about that. And some people like feel threatened by that. Some people can't handle that. And so in the interest of being nice and wanting to get along and not liking conflict just for the sake of conflict, I've sort of hamstrung myself and like pulled myself back many, many, many times in life, in many situations, in many relationships, to try and, not be overly intense for people. But that's not genuine, because I am that way. And if someone can't handle it, that's not my problem, because I'm not angry at them. And that's like almost never an issue. The real issue is that people can't be intimidated by super intense people. And our society has been built to call that toxic and disruptive. And I'm going to talk a lot more about this, I'm sure, because it's something that does get me fired up, and it's something that I have recently really kind of rededicated myself to being as authentic as possible. And I'm just a super intense person, whether I'm intensely happy or intensely irritated and want to fight against the system. Like, I don't like negative energy, and so I couldn't be a political pundit, because I could go off about whatever issue on any given day, but I get really sick of it. Like, I'm just not. I couldn't do what Nick Fuentes does and just do it all day, every day, because I want to talk about positive stuff. But I'm also super intense when it comes to positive things, because I'm passionate, because greatness requires obsession. And so if I am obsessed with something, then I'm passionate about that thing, then it's going to come out in a very intense way. So deal with it. Because truthfully, the biggest successes in my life have come from being totally authentic, and the biggest failures have come from not being completely authentic, and that includes toning down my level of intensity. And that doesn't mean that I'm going to be screaming and yelling all the time, but it just means that, like, I have the capacity to connect with whatever the obsession is and feel things on a very, very deep level, whether it's positive or negative, whether it's anger or joy, and to truly be the real person and to use my gifts and abilities and talents in the most effective way possible, I have to be that authentic, intense person. So maybe that's a little too much meta communicating about how I like to communicate. But really, I think there are many, many people, I'm not alone in this, who hold back because of how others respond, especially if you're a really intense person, especially if you're a really passionate person. We love our heroes passionate on the sports field or court. We love, superstars that sing and dance and do their art with passion. We love politicians who are passionate and scream and yell from the podium on both sides. Like I was just talking about people on the right, but you look on the left and you have, these, like that Somalian chick from Minnesota, Ilhan or whatever, and like AOC. You have these people on the left that are also like, they scream and yell and they get super passionate. We love that, but there seems to be this thing in polite society that says, well, that's for those people. And if you have that platform, if you have that stage, then you can be that person because you've earned it somehow. As opposed to, well, the only way to earn that is to be authentic. The reason why those people get to that level, to that platform, to have the opportunity to share their opinions and their voices and their talents, whether it's playing a sport or playing an instrument or dancing or whatever it is, or blah, 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 talking about politics, you get there by being authentic, if that's your thing, if that's your talent, your ability. So it's one thing to just be like a monkey and dance around and be like a barking dog. It's another thing to have something to say or have something to share and to just push all your chips into the middle and be like, I'm going all in because this is me. And honestly, that's the kind of world that I want to live in, and those are the kind of people that I want to attract. And I've found, at least in sports, that's always been the case. Like I can go play pickup basketball, for example, and first time that I meet any of these people, they can tell that I'm super intense, that I play within the rules, that I play clean, but I'm really intense and I take it seriously. And so people want that kind of hustle and energy and, pro teammate. Like I'm very encouraging with my teammates and I talk lots of trash to the opposing team. Like you want that on your team. And so that is endearing and that helps you to find, it's always helped me to find teammates, to find my tribe, to find the people that really resonate with that and want to play with that level of passion and fire and intensity. It's the same thing in life. But the thing is, life is very different. At least it's always been different for me than being on the court. And most people in life are not like the people I'm playing pickup basketball with or playing football with or whatever. They're not looking for that level of intensity in their life because they would have to level up to that. And for many people, it's just easier to, I don't want to say that they're all being lazy, but it's easier to just sort of go with the flow, status quo, be chill, be calm, not make any waves, not cause any commotion, not have any conflict, not have any disagreements, not actually say their opinion or what they truly think and feel and believe. Those aren't the people, honestly, that I want to spend all my time with and spend my life with. So if I'm too intense and too intimidating, or just people think I'm obnoxious even, okay, that's their choice, but I'll find my tribe by being me. It's always worked that way in the past, but for some reason, as you go through life and you go through different situations, you can often find yourself sort of conforming to the world around you, conforming to the people around you, conforming to the easiest way to go along and get along. And that can often put passion and authenticity and intensity, if you're one of those people like me, put it on the back burner. And that's not a good thing. That's not healthy. And it's clear that this is not something that I deal with alone. This is not unique to me. And I think that that's why I'm willing to share this, because I think that there are many, many people that have this challenge. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the voices like Andrew Tate be so popular, screaming and yelling and talking about manly stuff. They wouldn't be so popular if this weren't a massive issue in society. And it is, so it needs to be discussed.